And my goodness, Angel Reese fans are furious. Now, he's got a clip out there on with Jeff Teague on a podcast. I can't even play this clip. A comedian's joke just ignited WNBA drama. Charleston White's comments about Caitlin Clark sent Brittney Griner and Angel Reese into defense mode. But it's what happened next that has everyone talking. The aftermath reveals a deeper issue in women's basketball. Hi, sports supporters. Well, we're going to talk about this Charleston White Club 520 podcast situation involving NBA player Jeff Teague. And of course, they're all sitting around BSing. Charleston White is a comedian, and he's very damn funny. But he is also not afraid, like any good comedian, to roast or destroy. The WNBA world's buzzing after comedian Charleston White's recent podcast appearance went viral. And this isn't your typical sports controversy. During the Club 520 podcast, White didn't just praise Caitlin Clark. He sparked a firestorm that's revealing deeper divisions in women's basketball. Good. Comedians do. They're not worried about anybody's feelings. They literally go out there and crush. And that's what Charleston White did in this clip that went mega viral. I saw somebody asking, why would you have this guy on this podcast? Because it got 3 million views, this one damn clip. Let's break down what actually happened on that podcast, because context matters here. White, known for his unfiltered comedy style, started discussing Clark's impact on women's basketball. He pointed out how she's bringing millions of new viewers to the sport. But then things took a turn when he started comparing her to other WNBA stars. The podcast, which has now been viewed over 3 million times, quickly became about more than just Clark. White's comments about Brittney Griner particularly touched nerves. He referenced her time in Russia, making jokes that many found crossed the line. Don't go against her. She'd be a good defender. Yeah, man, you know what kind of money? And I heard they don't make a lot of money over there either. It's coming, man. It's on the way. It's going to get better. And that's the dope thing about Caitlin too, because regardless of the scrutiny they put on her name, every time she's came out and spoken in public, she said, hey, I'm good, but we need to push the league. Like you said, she did a lot of vocal stuff that helped a lot of black women in the process, man. She got a private agency this year? Yeah. She pushing there to help a lot of people get paid. Despite a lot of that. I thought Brittney Griner did that. I thought Brittney Griner did that. Motherfucker. But his supporters argue that's exactly what comedians do. They push boundaries and roast everyone equally. That's why. Now it went viral because of Angel Reese. And, she's reposted some old April post about protect women's sports. A lot of people are speculating. Does that have to do with this interview? Who knows? Maybe she's actually taking a stand against dudes in women's sports. That would, hey, I'd commend her if she's doing that. Hats off to you, Angel Reese. But some people think she's playing the victim because of a comedian roasting her on the controversy really kicked into high gear when Las Vegas Aces point guard Sydney Colson decided to speak out. She didn't just criticize White. She called out the entire podcast for platforming what she termed ignorant and sexist views. Aces. And this was her response to said podcast. And look, Charleston White absolutely crushed Brittney Griner. Her tweet gained immediate traction among WNBA players and fans. Vegas Aces point guard is all bent out of shape. And unfortunately for her, this didn't go well. Because some people called her out while she's trying to play all high and mighty over this podcast. For some previous Twitter posts that she put out about a Iowa Hawkeye player. Here's where it gets interesting. Social media users started digging, and they found something Colson probably wished they hadn't. A January 2023 tweet surfaced where she'd compared a female basketball player to a male actor, making similar jokes to what she was now criticizing. The internet never forgets. And this discovery changed the whole conversation. The hypocrisy didn't go unnoticed. Screenshots of her old tweets started circulating alongside her recent complaints. People pointed out the double standard. How can you criticize someone else's jokes when you've made similar ones yourself? This revelation shifted the debate from White's comments to a larger discussion about consistency and authenticity in these conversations. Angel Reese's response added another fascinating layer to this drama. Rather than addressing White's comments directly, she chose to repost an old Protect Women's Sports message. The timing wasn't lost on anyone. Her supporters immediately rallied, with some even calling for legal action against the comedian, a suggestion that only poured more fuel on the fire. Jeff Teich, one of the podcast hosts, tried to defuse the situation. He came out with a statement explaining their relationship, with Reese saying she's cool people. We look at her like a little sister. But his attempted damage control couldn't contain the viral spread of White's comments and the ensuing debate. The reaction from WNBA players has been particularly telling. Some have maintained public silence while liking posts critical of White. Others have spoken out more directly. The divide in responses shows the complex dynamics at play when comedy intersects with sports. This whole situation mirrors recent controversies in women's basketball. Just months ago, Shaquille O'Neal faced similar backlash for comments about players' attire. The patterns becoming clear. As the sport gains more mainstream attention, it's also attracting more mainstream commentary, including comedy. White supporters argue that his comments actually prove women's basketball is gaining legitimacy. After all, comedians roast what's relevant. They point to how NBA players regularly face similar treatment from comedians without it becoming a major controversy. The timing of all this couldn't be more significant, with Clark entering the WNBA and bringing unprecedented media attention. The league's under a bigger spotlight than ever before. Players and officials are still figuring out how to handle this increased scrutiny. Social media's role in amplifying this controversy cannot be understated. What started as comments on a podcast transformed into a much larger debate about respect, comedy, and sports culture. Every tweet, every response, every leaked old post adds another dimension to the story. The generational divide in reactions is particularly interesting. Younger fans seem more likely to side with Reese and Colson, while older basketball followers often defend White's right to comedy, even if they don't agree with his specific jokes. Traditional sports media has been cautious in covering this story. They're walking a fine line between reporting the controversy and not wanting to amplify potentially offensive content. This hesitation itself has become part of the larger conversation about how women's sports are covered. White hasn't backed down from his comments. If anything, the controversy's given him more material. He's continued making similar jokes in subsequent appearances, arguing that comedy shouldn't have boundaries and that sports figures are fair game for roasting. How did you like the video? Please tell us by commenting and also subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much.